Welcome to the customizations video tutorial for your podcasting website built on WpCasterPro. This theme has hundreds of options which you can tweak to change the design of your website, including colors, font, design, and much more. All of the options are documented in the design customizations setting of the manual. So we are not going through each of the many options allowed for this theme, but we are just going to make a quick overview of the main things you can change to match your style. Then we recommend going through the documentation to understand all you can do. Let's see how to customize our website. Click the Customize button from the top admin bar and you will find this menu. In Site Identity, you can change the title of your website, the tagline, which is not displayed on the front end, upload your logo, and change the website icon. Also, you can set a special logo for the mobile version. You will see that there are two logo uploaders. This is because you can choose a completely different file for when the website is scrolled. So if you scroll down, the toolbar goes away, the menu bar. If you scroll up, it comes back out. These two logos can be different because you may want to have one in positive and one in negative colors. Let's make an example. Let's say we want to use this logo on our website. So we want to have two different versions. This one is perfect for a white background and this is for a black background or on top of a picture. So when you export this logo, make sure to do File, and you can export this for web or Command Option Shift W. Make sure you're exporting this in PNG format with transparency. Also, we recommend using a height which is going to be double than the real height that you see it on the screen. In this way, it's going to look perfect even on Retina displays. For instance, 160 pixel height is going to look perfect on an 80 pixel height logo. Export your PNG in the two versions. Then here we are going to click on Select Image and upload your picture. For instance, you can see that if we upload the picture on the normal logo, this is meant for the opaque background. So if we set this background to white, this is going to work perfectly. This is going to be for the transparent background. So let's choose the alternative version. And let's set it here. For mobile, you want to have a squared logo, so let's make 100 by 100 logo. Place your icon on top. It could be even rectangular, it's not a big problem, but make sure you are making it so that it fits along with the other buttons. Which means, for instance, we can try the logo that we already have here and see if it fits. If it doesn't, because it is too large, you can replace it with a different format. In the colors section, there is the basic palette. Some sections like menu, footer, or player have separate color pickers, So the default color palette which you are setting here can be fixed for single parts, and you can override this palette. But basically you don't need to. If you set a good palette here, it is going to work everywhere. What is very important to understand is how the color palette works. For this reason, let's go to a single page. For instance, a podcast episode. The body background is this one. The card's background is used on these parts. So what you want to have is a card and body background which is pretty similar. It could also be the same. What's really important is to have a high contrast color for texts. So you cannot make the body white and the text white, because this is not going to work. It seems stupid, but we get many support requests for people who are saying there is no text on my page. In this case, please go to the colors and make sure you are not picking the same color for body and for text. This first demo comes with a negative skin by default, but if you want to have white background and black text, that's very easy actually. You can go for something like this and change the text to black. Then you will have to set other colors for links and stuff in order to make it look good. We will see them in the other sections of the customizer. For instance, the form or buttons can be set separately. For the moment, let's go back to our original color scheme. Here you can see there are two accent colors, a special color and a primary and text on primary. So the accent color is used for links like this one. Special color is used for a few special things like this little dot, while the primary color is used on special backgrounds. But there are not many of these items in the website, and this is like a special background used on few small elements. This is the color of the text when it is on top of the primary color. Then we have the player settings. The player settings allow us to customize the design aspect of the player, while the functionality is customizable throughout the settings screen in the backend and not here. So here you can set a custom color, text color, text background color, and accent color, which is visible when you are playing the music. If you enable the track spectrum, this is going also to be used to colorize the waveform of the song using this color picker. From the other options, you can choose. Radio options are not available for this theme. Podcast, you can choose how many podcasts you want to preload here. So you can choose, for instance, 30. And you will have many more preloaded podcasts, so people may click play and just keep on listening till there is some content. Or you can set some special podcast that you want preloaded without a specific chronological order, but just by ID. This theme also supports audio posts which need to have a valid MP3 or AAC file in the source code of the post, so you can even load audio posts. If you want, you can create a custom playlist. So you can set title, artist, album name, and other detail. Choose an MP3 file and a cover, and your custom tracks are going to appear here before any other track. This is useful if you want to create like an advertisement or some other special invitation or teaser. You can set a background image which is not going to be visible on most of pages, because this is only going to be visible if your website is much smaller than the screen size. Here you have the mega footer, which is documented as well here, and it is a function based on the possibility of creating unlimited footers with Elementor from your backend. You can choose how many mega footer you want to display, and you can override this option for single posts. So you can hide it or pick another footer for a single podcast or page. Here you have the menus, which is the default menus manager from WordPress, and you can set a menu for the primary menu and for the footer. There are also other locations. So there is a secondary menu, which at the moment is disabled, and you can enable it in header and menu, secondary menu, enable secondary header. If we turn this on, a new bar will appear here. You're able to set a custom background, custom contents, which will appear here, and set a link. Here you can add another menu. So let's go back to menus, view all locations, and set a menu here. You can create a custom menu here by creating a new menu and set it to the secondary menu. Then we can add items. For instance, homepage, the social links, which are appearing in the secondary menu and in the footer, can be managed from the social links page. So you can add whatever link you want, and the icon will appear in the top bar. The size and color of these icons can be customized from the header and menu screen. In the header and menu part, you noticed that you have a lot of other options. Menu bar is this one. Menu buttons are these ones. The call to action button is this big button. The page header and background is this part here. So you can set default styling and customization for the page header. The secondary menu is the one we just activated, and the social part allows us to customize the icons as we just did. So this is probably one of the most complex sections of the customizer. Let's have an overview and see how you can change the design of your menu. You can set a custom background. So instead of having it transparent, you can set any color you want. The color of the menu when it's scrolled can be set if you enable the sticky menu. If you don't want to have the sticky menu, just turn it off. So the menu is going to stay right there. Then we have the links color, links hover color. If you don't have a logo, you can change the site name color. By the way, you can see that the logo now stays the same. We are not seeing the white logo because we disabled the sticky menu. So the two logo options are used if the sticky menu is enabled. You can as well change the sub-menu settings. And you can set the colors for the mobile version. We don't have any text at the moment, so this is not affecting any color. Then you will see there are many other styling options. For instance, you can change the menu direction. The alignment, and the order. In this way, you can give priority to the functionalities you want to change as first. In the styling part, you can find some font options which will override the default customization font. Let's try, for instance, a Bebas. The font size can be changed using this control. And you can also change the logo size. Margin, vertical padding, and options for the scrolled version of the menu. As you can see, you can set different colors for the scrolled menu version, which we are now setting as default. In the menu buttons section, you can customize which buttons you want to appear. So we have the off canvas section, which can hold several widgets, social icons, menus. Then we have a search button, volume control optional. So if you want to set the volume control up here, a play button, which is essentially a clone of this main player bar, and we play just the first track that you have preloaded. You can also set some text for the play button and change the colors of your icons and border. If you leave them as default, this is going to use the main color which are from the main color palette. If you want to set special colors for when this is scrolled, you can set them from this part. So this can adapt to whichever color of background you want to use for the top bar when it's sticky. The call to action button, it's very interesting and has several functions. The main function is which is the most important action that you want your visitor to perform. This could be to make a premium subscription, to send you a message, to open the latest podcast. You can choose whatever you want it to do. Change the font size. Pick whatever icon you want and choose the action. You can even set this to open a pop-up player. Why is there a pop-up player? The reason is the following. The player uses IX page loading in order to keep the music playing, but you may want to use some plugins which are not compatible with IX page loader. For this reason, we offer an alternative possibility to listen to the music without navigating, without having to stay on the same page and keep on navigating. This is the pop-up player, and you can enable it here. Just type something like open player, choose an icon you want, like play arrow, and choose pop-up player. In this way, when people click on this, it is going to open the pop-up player. Then you have the page header option, and this is going to customize this section for all of the page headers. This one is very complex, so we are going to start from a more easy one. For instance, an archive page. You can change the padding for mobile, iPad and desktop. So if you go from mobile, you can adapt these colors and sizes to the ones you want. Then you can change the default background, picture and effects. Let's remove this default background. And if you want, you can add whatever picture you prefer. The background can be set to parallax or fixed. As you can see, there is a parallax effect, which you can turn off and have the picture scrolling normally. Or you can set the picture to fixed. If you want single posts to use their own picture as background, you can enable use single post featured images as background. But pay attention to one detail. One option is to use the single post featured image as background for single posts, or, as in this case, another picture is being used to override the featured image. So if we remove this picture, this one is going to be used. If you turn off use single post as background, the default image from the customizer is used. But if you edit the episode and choose your custom image, this will override all of the customizer options. Then you can play with several other parameters in order to fit the pictures with your favorite style, like blur, gradient, and more. Then there are footer options. This is the default footer, which is meant for a no-time web design process. Just set your content here, font size, background, and link color. Here you can set the social network size and colors as we did for the header. As you can see, this is taking already the menu font which we set previously from the menu part, because this is a menu. And this part instead is handled from the mega footer, which we will see in a minute. So this part here, if you don't want to see it, what you can do is this. Remove this text, disable the social icons, and in menu, unselect the footer menu. Once the footer bar is empty, it will disappear entirely, allowing you to create your footer 100% with Elementor. Then we have the off-canvas sidebar, which is this thing here. So this can contain menu, social, and widgets. What you want to do first of all is, perhaps, since WordPress pushes in his favorite widgets, is to go to the widget part, click off canvas, and remove these. Here we go. We have just a category widget. We can remove this as well. You want to add some widget, for instance, a tag cloud. Just drop it in. And here we go. While for the rest of the options, which is design and social, you go from the off-canvas design. You can change the width of the canvas. You can change the padding. And if this is too much for mobile, you can set it as a percentage. Then you can change background and make it however you want. Of course, you can break it if the wrong settings are used. Here you can customize the design of the social icons and their color. Then we have the layout section. Here you can change the maximum width of your website. Some people like it boxed. And you can also change the background image of your website here. Here we go. This parameter allows to set some container shadow and then we have the typography options. A very important consideration needs to be done for the typography. So in some countries, like Germany, Google Fonts are forbidden. Actually, what is forbidden is to load Google Fonts from Google repository. We are adding these global options to disable Google Fonts entirely, so the website will rely only on the fonts from your computer. But what you really need to know is that our theme will download a copy of the Google font in your web server, so you are not serving the Google fonts from the Google repository. You are not adding Google font cookies to your website, and you are not allowing Google to track your users throughout their cookies, because actually fonts are served from a local folder and you are not breaking any law. So you can use the Google fonts and use these Google font tester websites to see if it is using any Google font. You will see it is not. Perhaps the first time you open the website, they are loaded from Google, and at that moment they are cloned in your own server, allowing you to serve every font and CSS from your server and not from the Google font website. A second very important consideration is about which fonts you can use. For as much fun as it could be clicking on any font and see how they look, there are so many of them that it's very hard to achieve an interesting result. Also, depending on your language, your font may require special characters and accents which are not available on any font family. What you should do is to go to Google Fonts and do the following. Click on Language, choose your language, like for instance for French or Spanish, you should choose Latin Extended. And you are sure that all of the fonts in the list, so 1100 fonts, can work with your language because they have all of the letters that you need. Otherwise, if you pick another font that you like, what is going to happen if you put a letter like this, it's going to be transformed in a plain letter or some other letter. Also, you can choose the font you like using these filters. Make sure you pick fonts with at least a couple of styles to make the bold. This is not even allowing me for some reason at this moment, but this I don't really know why. It's some bug of Google Fonts today. You want to make sure your fonts are variable, which means you can have any kind of thickness, as most of the fonts nowadays, like this, and they fit with your language. Once you have the names of the font you like, just go back to the customizer and you can change the font. In this way. Then you have the social link section, which we already saw. You can just copy and paste the link to your social pages here. And then we have some blog options. You can customize the way your blog looks like. So let's go into a single post and see which options we have. You can show or hide categories, author name, post date, remove the featured image, but this is using the image in the content. Switch off the sidebar, the outer card, tags, and yes, there is a WordPress default comment manager, but it's a little bit clunky and complicated, so we just added an extra switch here. This last option allows to submit comments without reloading the page. So if people are listening to any podcast, they can submit a comment without the page reloading. Another interesting section of the customizer are cards. Cards define the way that archive items look. So we have different parameters like border radius, shadow, because you can even set colorful shadow, and you can choose if you want to display other metadata as categories, date, and more. And this is going to affect all of the cards of your website. If you don't see any change here, the customizer can sometimes get stuck because it's saving every time hundreds of options. In this case, you can publish your changes, reload the page, and just go back editing. A very interesting part of the customizer are the hover effect. So we added so many possible effects here that you can really play around and choose how you want this effect to look like. The first parameter is the icon, so you can hide this top icon if you want the people to just click and go into the single page. The animation time, you can make it more smooth or instant or whatever in between. Then you have a scale option, blur, brightness, grayscale, because perhaps if you want to colorize the picture, you want to remove the original colors to avoid overlapping ugly combination as purple and yellow. And you can add a hover tint to the picture. Here you can set a default background in case there is no featured image for a specific post. Then there is a buttons section. These are primary buttons and they have gradient option. So you can set them in this way and have these be your hover state. You can change the direction of the gradient and the text color. Ghost buttons are the ones used more often in less relevant areas, like these ones. So you can set background, border color, and any other option you like. Last but not least, the forms can be customized as well. So this is going to affect e-commerce forms, contact forms, and comment forms. You can change the input background field color, the text color, and the border. Also, the border radius can be changed to match your styling preference. Not happy with the result, just set it to default. Once you finish with your changes, don't forget to click Publish. Or you can save it as draft and review your changes later on. So we click Publish and check the result in the front end. Sometimes it can happen that you publish the customizer changes and they are not taking effect once you are not logged in as admin. So if this happens, you have a problem with your server cache. It is very common with light speed servers because all of the changes you are adding are saved in a dynamic CSS file. It is not a proper file, it is generated on the go by PHP. So it is a customizer link. You can make a test in this way. You go to the elements and search for hierarchy styles. You will find a link like this. This is a dynamic CSS file generated by the customizer. If you have NGINX or Lightspeed servers, this file is not updating. So what you need to do is go to your cPanel and manually find and click the button to purge the cache. Otherwise, you can install plugin as Lightspeed Manager or NGINX Manager in order to manually clear the cache of your server. Otherwise, you will find yourself into this position where the changes that you are storing in the customizer are not reflected in the front end, both if you are logged or if you are not logged. So if you cannot handle this problem properly, this is a hosting problem and you may want to ask support to your hosting provider. Just tell them that the changes are not stored and that the styling are displaying outdated content. They will know how to help you and how to purge your cache and tell you how to do it autonomously. This is everything for the customizer. In the next episodes, we are going to see how to create a podcast, how to create a series, how to manage users, and how to make a proper premium podcast channel where people need to subscribe and pay in order to listen to a podcast. Thank you for watching and see you on the next episode.